Happy Tuesday, everybody. Today is February 16th, 2021, and today's guest is Curt Geier from the Working Class Bowhunter podcast. Welcome to the Fall Podcast. I am your host, Aaron Blasey, and today is episode 147. Happy late Valentine's Day to all the wives and the girlfriends and significant others out there that, allow us and let us go and do all the stuff that we like to do in the fall, and that's hunt. So happy Valentine's Day to you guys. We really appreciate everything that you let us do, especially my wife. She's a saint. I love her very much, and I couldn't thank her enough for letting me do what I love to do the most, and that's hunting, filming, and just living the outdoor lifestyle. So she deals with a lot of my crap every fall and has for the last 11 years, and she takes it like a champ. I really appreciate that. So enough of that. I guess I want to get to today's podcast with Curt Geier from the Working Class Bowhunter podcast. And honestly, I can't say enough about Curt Geier, enough good things, because this guy, I've said it before, I've had him on the podcast. He's an OG. He's, one of the guys that paved the way in the podcast world, and I can't thank him enough. And I've told him this before, but, he inspired me. One of the inspirations for me to get this podcast going, and I can't thank him enough for doing that. He didn't even say anything to me. He didn't, do anything. It was just him having his platform, the Working Class Bowhunter podcast, and, just inspiring me in so many ways. And today's podcast is a little different. We don't necessarily get into like a nitty-gritty tactics or anything like that. It's kind of a BS session, but I had a whole bunch of questions that listeners, sent in, and it's a really opinionated, I shouldn't say opinionated, but it's opinion podcast. We talk about whisker biscuits, we talk about saddle hunting and stand hunting, we talk about just a variety of things, and I kind of put Curt on the spot a little bit and just ask him his opinion on it and all the stuff that he thinks. And honestly, the first thing we get into is, why is hunting so competitive? Why has it become so competitive amongst each other? And that's like the first thing we talk about, but it is, and I really wish it wasn't that way, but that's the way that our world is right now. And hopefully we can get back to just that good old wholesome, outdoor lifestyle where everybody's happy and just enjoys the outdoors and enjoys what everybody else is doing as well. So, but yeah, that's kind of today's podcast. Before I get over to that though, I do want to let you guys know we are in the midst of designing a new merch line for the Fall Podcast. So that is going to be going live here soon. I just want to let you guys know that we're going to have new t-shirts, new hoodies, new hats, and new designs, everything. They're really cool. Finalizing those as we speak right now to get those out to everybody. I've got tons of people asking, like, we want stickers, we want, shirts, hats, hoodies, stuff like that. And it's just hard to do it and keep the inventory. And, I don't have a website, so I kind of do it, I like to call like a getaway. So I'm going to do a pre-order, I believe. So whoever's listening to this, and if you're interested in some merch, I'm going to start letting it go live here in a little bit so you guys can see all the designs and everything like that on shirts and hats and hoodies. And I'm going to do a pre-order and just kind of recoup everything there, and I'm going to get it all made. And once we have it established, then we can start, like, if you want a onesie, twosies kind of thing, order it, and we'll work on probably have you DM me what you want, what size, what style, and you'll be able to see all these too. So have a unique way of kind of how I'm going to present it on social media. And that's what I'm going to do right now. I don't really want to get a website. I don't see the use of a website right now. To be honest with you, I don't make any money on my podcast. It's just something I love to do and the passion. So I'm using all this money for my own money to get everything out there. So just kind of looking to recoup a little bit of that back, not looking to get rich or anything, because I just love doing this stuff. And I appreciate everybody, all the feedback that they've given me, all the support. I really, truly appreciate that. It means so much. So thank you guys very much for that. So I guess look for the merch to come out here soon. I'm going to say within the next week or two, I'll start releasing what it's going to look like, and then we'll get the pre-order started. So I'll let everybody know. But yeah, I guess look for that. So with that being said, let's go over this interview with Curt Geier, and thank you guys very much. One of my favorite guests on, Curt Geier from the Working Class Bowhunter. And now, Curt, before I do kind of get into this, you will be episode number 2 of the Working Class guys, because I just had one with Chandler, which you got a lot to live up to, because Chandler pretty much knocked it out of the park. So
he's a hard guy to follow, man. First of all, thanks for having me back. And I appreciate you saying I'm one of your favorite guests. That's probably a lie, but I'll take it as a compliment. No, dude, Chandler is one. He's the most humble dude in the whitetail game, I think. And I feel like he's like newly discovered through us as far as the whitetail industry is concerned. But the guy has just done it all. Like, he's got one of every whitetail that you'd ever want. But he's so humble and he's so knowledgeable. Sometimes it takes a lot to like pry out of him, but once you kind of get him cracked open, the knowledge just kind of rolls out. It's pretty awesome.
Agreed, man. And he is, dude, he's just a wealth of knowledge. And I even said it, I don't know if I said it in recording, I might have said it when we were recording, but I was like, dude, this is the first time I've ever talked to him, but I'm like, man, I feel like I've talked to you my whole life. Like, I just felt like I knew him, we just kind of hit it off really well. And that guy, like you said, he's humble, but he is a big buck killing machine, and he knows his shit.
Yeah, very calculated, man, and he's easy to talk to. And he will talk to anyone for as long as you sit there and want to talk to him. Like, he just loves deer. He's super passionate about it. And I kind of made it a goal, like meeting him and Ross Bigger through the podcast, and they've now become hosts of the show. I just made a goal to surround myself with people like that, because it just makes you a better hunter and a better person, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I appreciate you coming on and doing this. We've got about a half hour to 45 minutes to record here, and I know carving out time for you. You guys put out a lot of podcasts, and if anybody's been living under a rock for the last 6 years, go check out Working Class Bowhunter. They're doing really good shit over there. Have been forever, so I want to get that out there. But first, so today's podcast, we're going to get into a wide variety of shit, and I told you I get a lot of people submitting, basically some questions of, if anybody's familiar with your podcast, you guys do the unpopular opinion, which I love that. I don't want to like rip it off from you, but I've got a lot of questions that I haven't figured out a podcast where we can do that. So I figured today, having you on, why not do that? Because you can, you're the asshole, right? Like, you can play that.
I'm the garbage disposal of this extra podcast questions that you just have to.
Exactly. I like it. So the first one I'm going to start off with here is, in your opinion, now this is opinion based, why has hunting gotten so competitive? What do you think?
Social media and just uncontrollable egos right off the rip. That's like the first thing that came to my head. Dude, it's the internet, man. Like, that automatically makes people like weird internally, mentally. They see somebody doing this or saying they're doing this or killing this buck or getting this buck on camera, and it just turns into this weird secondhand competition, like man to man or whatever, when really it just needs to be the competition between you and whatever you're hunting.
Agreed. I mean, and when you were growing up, was it always like, when somebody killed something, whatever it is, it was always very positive, wasn't it? I mean, is that how you grew up? That was the world I was in. It was always like, holy shit, let's, I remember my dad's like, let's crack a beer and, let's drink, and you killed a 6-pointer. That's great.
Yeah, I think it was different then for me, because I really didn't have a lot of friends my age that hunted when I was a kid, and they were all older, more role model type. So I was stoked to even see a big buck when they'd kill one, and they were just happy for me to kill one as I was killing a bigger buck or shooting goals through my deer hunting, I guess, progression.
Yep.
So I think it was a little different then, but if I would have had more friends my age that hunted, I still don't think it would have been a competition. I think we all would have been happier for each other or whatever. But for me, it was just my role models were watching me kill deer growing up, and I was watching them kill deer. So it was just kind of a positive environment either way.
Yep. And I really feel like, if you in the back of your head are thinking like, I've got to kill a buck to put one on the wall because Curt Geier's got how many bucks on the wall, that I feel like you're doing this for the wrong reasons. You need to really check yourself.
Agreed. And I feel a lot of people get pulled into that with social media, and that's probably part of the reason why you see a lot of these guys trying to be influencers and getting caught up on like weird poaching charges or doing something dirty or did this. And I think that is probably the main reason that plays into a lot of that, especially newer hunters.
Yeah. Damn social media. What the hell, man? Just
the devil.
Just a killer. It is, but now it's like to even build something like imagine not having any source of social media and doing a podcast and getting the episodes out there. How would you do it?
It's a necessary evil, man.
It is. I fucking hate it.
It really is. It sucks, but you got to have it when you're trying to do a media-based company.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next one. This one is one of the debates of all debates, and it's tree saddle versus tree stand.
Yeah. Whatever you want to hunt with, man, do it. We make fun of the tree saddle thing sarcastically on the podcast, and we do it so much, and our sarcasm is pretty dry, like we're serious, and we're really not. Whatever works for you as far as like the mobile hunting game is concerned, do it. Doesn't mean we're not going to make fun of you, and we make fun of ourselves, but we make fun of it so much in a joking manner that it's kind of just been like every time we talk to someone at a trade show, it's like, well, Curt, I know you hate saddles. And I have to be like, no, I don't hate saddles. Like, I'm kidding, but it's funny.
Yeah, it is funny. I don't know what episode it was. I listened to it the other day. I was going back and listening to some of your stuff, and you guys were talking about tree saddles. They're like the hipsters or something like that.
Yeah.
But
well, you get the ropes and carabiner nerds involved, and it's more about like tying knots and ascenders and all this different shit where it's like, man, if you put half the amount of effort into killing deer, you could have already just been in the tree killing deer. I get it. It's part of the fun is nerding out on it. But see what I mean? I'm making fun of it sarcastically, so then people take it the wrong way. As far as the tree stand saddle thing, baseline, who gives a shit? Just do what you want.
Yeah. Well,
I'm tired of hearing it.
The cool and that's why I brought it up, because I know you've been beat to death with it basically. But
God, yeah, I have.
The thing with you though, I mean, you guys, the whole WCB crew, is you make fun of it, and same with me. I do the same thing. I throw shade on my friends too. I got friends that use saddles now, and it's like, I got one buddy, one of my best friends. He's like, I used to hunt out of a saddle, back in 2010 and 11. I hunted out of a saddle, and back then, and still to this day, he was like, man, that's stupid. Why would you do that? And then he literally called me last week. He's like, oh, I just got my new saddle in, and I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. It's like, it's all good fun. That's part of the fun of like giving your boys shit about everything they do, no matter what, whether you like it or not.
For sure.
Yeah, that's getting beat to death, man. And a lot of media outlets in the hunting industry are riding that trend, the what's better, and they do these just tacky one-off videos on saddles versus tree stands. And I'm in my head, who gives a shit anymore?
Yep, just go kill
That's
deer.
over. 2020 is behind us. Let's argue about something else. Let's go back to Broadheads.
Yep, definitely. Go back to Broadheads or FOC, one of those two.
Right. Anything else, I don't care.
All right, next one is would you shoot a whisker biscuit?
I have.
Have
for
you?
A long time.
Okay.
Yeah. And that goes back to something me being sarcastic. I did a post about I said a post sarcastically joking for interaction. If you shoot a whisker biscuit, don't give me advice on hunting. And dude, it was like, it blew up. People were like lighting me up and just eating me alive over it. I'm like, guys, I shot a whisker biscuit for like 10 years.
But honestly, man, even though it looks like you're showing up with basically a thong around your bow or something, I don't know how you want to put it, but it is like a really good rest. I mean, fail proof.
Beginners.
Yes.
It's great
beginners and women if you haven't been into it much, but I mean it could be a good rest.
I got nothing against the whisker biscuit, but it's funny to make fun of, just how the saddles are funny to make fun of. And my buddy Chip City, he made up a good point. He's like, if you shoot a whisker biscuit, does it technically make your brace height 0? And I was like, wow, maybe. I don't know enough to really say that's a fact, but something to think about.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I haven't even thought of it that way, I guess.
Your arrow's touching your bow all the way until it leaves the riser.
Really? That's a good point. Yeah.
Something to think about. I'm just saying.
That's kind of mind-blowing, actually. That's a good point.
I know. he did one of those, like, the point to your temple and tilted his head, like, think about it,
Think about it, yeah. All right, so talking a little bit about broadheads. First of all, what broadhead do you shoot?
Shoot a mixture right now. I'm kind of in between what I want to do as far as shooting for 2021, but I've been shooting the Slick Trick Raptor Trick on the expandables, and then I've shot the Slick Trick Viper Trick, which is a fixed blade. And I played around with a couple, like Sever and all that. And so, but I'd say if I had to be like, this is the one I've been shooting, the Slick Trick Viper Trick is the one that has been the most consistent up to this point.
Okay. What made you land on that?
We work with Elite Bows, and the basically outdoor group, the parent company, is Elite and Slick Trick.
Yep.
And like, well, I better try that. Austin Ross shot Slick Trick for a long time, and they're like, hey, you got to try these out. So it kind of went from shooting Elite. Ross and Austin shot Elite for a long time, and Ross had the Slick Tricks there. Ross has a not so much anymore, but he had this own little like appointment only bow shop that he had in his pole barn.
Okay.
And he gave me a couple of them, and I shot a few deer with them, and was just mind blown by them, and just kind of stuck inside that Slick Trick family for a few years. So
now, the fixed blade that you shot, was that a 3 or 4 blade? Because I know they make a 4 blade, right?
Man, put me on the spot. I'm drawing a blank. It's been 2 seasons since I shot that. I think it's a 4 blade. I shot a 125 grain head. I went to Colorado for an elk hunt, and I came back and hunted whitetails with them, and they flew amazing. And they just destroyed everything I shot.
Okay.
So
you said that was the Viper Trick?
The Viper Trick, yeah. Okay. I shot 125 grain Viper Trick.
I got you.
And I might go back to that this year, depending if I don't know. I haven't decided. I'm still playing around. We'll see.
Well, that kind of leads me to my next thing is like mechanical versus, fixed blade, because that's a huge thing right now too. That goes with the heavy arrows, the FOC. I'm literally building new arrows as we speak for next year. And the reason why I'm doing that is because this time of year, every year, I feel like I come off the road and I'm like, okay, I need to get this for next year. I need to do this. I want to do it now. It's like, this is my time. I like geek out on stuff and I get it done before spring. So then I don't have to worry about it in spring and summer. So that's like kind of where I'm at. Like, I shoot Rage. I've shot Rage for 10 years now and have had nothing but good luck, because the Rage thing is like, either you love them or hate them. It's usually basically what it is. I've done nothing but love them.
I honestly am probably going to buy a pack of those hypodermics.
Yep.
And play with them, because everyone that I know as of recent years, I feel like Rage was different back when they first hit the scene to what it is now, just from talking to people. And everyone that shoots the Rage hypodermics in my circle that I know is like, dude, they're devastating. So I'm probably going to buy a pack and play with them.
So I've shot the hypodermics since 2014 or 15 now. And I mean, they keep coming out with new broadheads, and I've shot that broadhead. I've played around with some other broadheads, some Ramcats, some Rec broadheads, but
I have a pack of those sitting on the studio table right now. I'm about to play with them. That's one
the Recs.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Matt's from Michigan. I know Matt pretty well. I've had him on the podcast and stuff too. He's a really good dude.
I've talked to him on the phone. Seems like an awesome guy.
Yeah, he is. Really good dude. But for the Rage hypodermics, I mean, I got nothing bad to say. If I had anything to say, and this goes with like a lot of mechanicals, after I do more research, is like I get zero pass-throughs, it feels like. I haven't passed through a deer in probably 8 years.
Really?
Yes. Everything is lodged.
That's where my experience kind of differs a little bit. I've had both with the Raptor tricks. But I think it's shot placement.
100%. Yeah.
I aim for double lung. I'm not a heart guy.
Yep.
Or especially if they're close.
That makes sense though, because I'm a heart guy. I aim for heart. So getting shoulders.
If they're further, I aim for heart, because especially on like a buck, or it depends if it's late season, of course.
Yep.
But I'm a double lung guy. Maybe low double lung, if you will, just above the heart.
Yep.
But back just a touch. I don't like to mess around with that shoulder too much, especially like Creepy, the buck that I hunted for a few years. I tried to aim as safe double lung as I could without causing an issue. But
yep. And, honestly, since 2016, every deer that I've shot with a hypodermic, I've seen them drop. So
that's good.
Yeah.
That's high odds, man. You got to go for that. It's hard to argue with that success.
Yep. And honestly, no pass-throughs, but I see them all die. So I'm like, well, Well,
is it not a pass-through because you're hitting offside shoulder? Is it, you know what I mean? Is it that?
Yeah. Well, this year I shot a doe late season here in Michigan, like December 9th or 10th or something like that. It buried to the fletching. I could just see my fletching coming out of the right side. And as she was running away, finally after 30 yards, the arrow popped out. Once the arrow popped out, she stopped. And she's at 40 yards. And she's just looking around. I'm like, oh shit, what is going to happen here? That split moment of something happened to her. And she's just like, well, this is time. Boom. Falls right there. And I'm
kidding.
Wow. Yeah. But honestly, I have not got the shots where it's zip right through. And, actually, I take that back. In 2015 was the last deer I blew through. Shot it with a Rage hypodermic, 12 yards, shot right through. It was kind of low, heart, shot right through, blitzed through him. He ran off. I watched him run for 65 yards and seen him fall. That was the last deer that passed through.
I'm not really the pass through. All it gives you, I mean, and this is a situational, and people could argue with me on this, but in general terms, the pass through gives you that immediate at the shot. Okay, 2 holes, I'm good.
Yep.
It gives you an immediate okay, we're in the biz. But if you bury in that offside shoulder or bury to the fletching, especially an expandable, if it's in that offside shoulder, and that deer's just laying it all down and that broadhead's in there working,
yep,
that's just as good. Oh, if not better.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's gonna be somebody to write in and be like, Curt's an asshole.
Yeah, we'll get something. I'll make sure I forward it to you.
Cool. I'll make sure I'll screenshot it and post it on our story on the Working Class page.
There you go. Yeah.
So think about it before you send that message. But that's just my experience. That's all I can speak from.
Well, and it's fun too to kind of see your experience and mine. Me, I don't get pass throughs. You, on the other hand, do. But we've had kind of this similar success. I lost one deer this year. I did pass through a deer this year, and that's something I have not gotten into yet. But I mean, I could show you the shot. It is 10 out of 10 times this thing is double lunged. But I think I got a really bad ricochet, and I tried a different broadhead. I'm not going to throw that broadhead out there right now under the bus. But
oh, come on, I'm the guy that's the garbage disposal.
Yeah, I can't do that. Can't do it right now. I'm that guy right now. No, tractor 370 yards, lost blood with a pass through. Yeah.
I've had that experience once on a doe on film, so I knew where I hit it, and I'll name drop the broadhead. I don't care, and I it's just my experience. I'm not saying it's a shit broadhead. All it was a NAP kill zone. I wasn't a fan.
Okay. Yep. And I've heard good and bad about those too. That's a love or hate broadhead as well.
Yep. That's my experience from talking to people. It's a 50-50 broadhead.
Yep. All right. So I'm just going through my notes here, make sure we get everything. This one I really, really wanted to ask you because you killed both your bucks in late October this year. So, and I'm sure you've killed more deer in late October as well. But in your opinion, is late October better than early November?
Man, I don't know. Is that a fair answer? Because
I know it's all situational, but in your opinion and your situations, is late October better than early November?
Has anyone ever done that on your podcast? Been like, I don't know. And then just that's the answer you got?
Chandler did last week.
Did he do it?
But I didn't ask the question very good, I don't think, because he's like, Aaron, I don't know if I'm really following you on the question. And I'm like, shit.
That's very Chandler. See, me, I would have been belligerent and just gave you some bullshit answer, no matter if I understood the question or not.
No, you're good.
No, I don't think that late October is necessarily better than the first week of November. I think it depends. It's hard to beat the first week of November in the Midwest. There's something about it's just game time in the air. It's anything can happen at any time. It's beautiful. But I think predictability wise, if that's what you're going for, specific deer, which is kind of what I was doing, 50-50 what I was doing. My situation was unique. And I think I told this on one of your podcasts in the past, the whole story.
Yep.
But I think if you want to get on a specific deer, late October was the time to do it, because just they're obviously they're more predictable because they're not on does, they're not running rampant. So if you're doing that, yeah, I like late October better if you have lowish pressure on your ground, and all that considered.
Yep.
But yeah, I would say depends what you're hunting, Like I was going for this really unique tight rack buck with a little drop tine with a lot of tines, and he was just something I had never seen before, and I thought he was cool. So yeah, it worked out great for me because I killed the deer I was after,
For sure. Yeah, and I do realize that question could be very situational, because one of my farms here in Michigan, if you're like, what days do you want to kill on your farm here, or best chances, you give me the 22nd through the 31st of October all day.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, if I only get 8 to 10 days to hunt on this farm in Michigan, those are the days I'm hunting. And it happened again this year, and I just missed the deer. So it was just like, it's just a magical time in this area. But, you go to, and then I turn around, but honestly, I haven't been able to be here the first week or first 10 days in November in like 9 years in Michigan to hunt. I'm always on the road hunting somewhere. So it's like, I don't get to see that here, but it's hard to argue with, man. If you have those days in October picked out, and then you got to be gone somewhere else, and you can still get it done, or at least get your opportunity, Yep. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Now the next one is, are you for shooting does or no shooting does?
I'm very for shooting does. I like to shoot does. I'm not as concerned with shooting does the older I get and the more experience I have. My family, pretty much our source of red meat is 100% venison.
Okay.
Or animals I hunt. So I always try to shoot a doe early, or at least in October. And then we'll see. I shot one doe this year, but I shot a bear and an antelope earlier in the year too. So I wasn't as hard pressed. Like a doe and my 2 bucks got me where I needed to be for the year, and we'll eat that down before the next hunting season. But yeah, I'm for shooting does. I think it's great practice. I think it's great meat first off, but it is great practice, especially one, you're on blood trails. 2, you're getting animals in front of you and you're drawing back and you're going through the process. So when you have a big buck in front of you that you've been working hard to get on and it's crunch time, I feel like you're a little more comfortable where you need to be,
Yep. Yeah. And I say the same thing too, because you look at, athletes, they practice 5 days a week, 6 days a week, they get to go practice. To me, shooting does is your practice. Like that's your, that's your time to go out there and do it.
This might be a far-fetched reference, but hopefully you can follow me here. Conor McGregor just got knocked out by Dustin Poirier last weekend.
Yep.
in the post-fight interview, he said, inactivity is not the way to the game. He goes, the more you're in here, the more cozy you're going to get in here, and that's what basically leads to success. So
100%, man.
Same thing.
Yeah, and I'll even try to like this last fall, I shot a doe late season, December 9th I shot her. It was colder in balls. It was 18 degrees. And that's the time I'm like, okay, yeah, I do want some meat, but I'm like, it's colder and shit, but I want to go out there and I want to practice with all my shit on, like extra layers. And like, that's when I like really try to fine tune my layering system for late season and not be like the Michelin man. You know what I mean? And I hate wearing gloves. I hate wearing gloves all the time when I'm hunting.
I never wear them. It's a big problem.
I don't either. And well, I shouldn't say I don't either. I do wear, you'll see me wearing gloves. They're usually fingerless gloves, but if I'm getting ready, if I see deer, they come off. I never shoot a deer with a glove on. And that's just the way, but I like practicing those things as well. And
for sure. But I don't care what anyone says. Hot Hands should be our biggest sponsor.
100%.
Like people are like, "Oh, you're a bitch if you use Hot Hands." I'm like, hey, listen, I don't shoot with gloves on in the summer, and I'm not about to shoot with them in the winter.
Nope. I've went as far as duct taping them on my shirt and my kidneys because I didn't have like the stick-ons.
Yeah,
So I've
dude, I know exactly. That's where I get cold too.
Yep, got to get those kidneys warm, man.
That's hilarious.
Let's see here. Okay, this is something I need to elaborate. I need you to elaborate a little more on. With the guy almost shooting you with a crossbow.
Oh, God damn it.
What the hell happened here? I had to bring it up.
No, and I would have done it differently looking back. So on a Heart podcast, I don't remember. This would have been a podcast we put out probably late October. I was hunting a newer property. I lost the property and then gained this property.
Private land, right?
It's private ground, which makes it even worse, this whole situation. It's hard to explain without going into too many detail and giving away the spot. But it probably doesn't really matter because I honestly don't know if I'm ever going back. And that was the last time I was there. I left trail cameras out there and everything. So I'm going to go back. I'm sure they're stolen. I got this new property. I ran trail cameras on it, and I had two giants on there. Like, both of them would have been the biggest deer that I've ever killed. Like, one's in the 70s, typical. Damn. One's in the high 80s is non-typical. Like 17 score, just a stud, you know? Yeah. And the first time I did one hanging hunt there, pulled out. I go in, check my cameras, and it was like someone flipped a light switch. Nothing on any of the cameras. There's a box blind out in the field that wasn't there, and someone didn't have permission to hunt there, but they just pulled a box blind on a trailer out there.
Jeez.
Guys all over my trail camera. And this property is weird. Like, there's abandoned stuff like all over the woods. But it's a big buck area, you know? So I'm like, well, a little weird. So I go in and do a hanging hunt. I sit in there and I'm like, and the woods had just a strange feeling. It's hard to explain. If anyone's ever had that experience, you know it. But have you ever had that feeling like in the woods, just something's off with it?
Yes. You're almost like you're scared walking into it.
Yeah. I had that feeling in daylight walking in, and there was always rumors of guys keeping fighting dogs down in the woods there and stuff like back in the day.
Jesus.
And so just like you had that feeling already, like, man, I'm going to get attacked by some rabid dog. But I'm sitting in there and I get down just before dark because I'm like, I'm going to get the hell out of here. I'm not familiar with this place. First time on this north end of this ground at all. So I get down, I pull my stand, and I'm like, man, there could be those big bucks could be in here somewhere. I'm just going to slip out. I could see walking, but it was getting pretty dark. So I had my light off and I had my stand on my back and I got my bow and all my stuff. And I'm walking through quiet, and I'm kind of on the property line. And there's like this quad trail that runs from probably a 50-yard stretch of woods, and it opens up to this picked bean field. And I have a trail camera right there on that corner of that bean field, and that's where I was getting a bunch of pictures of the big bucks. So I was going to go there, and I was going to pull the camera and just get the hell out of there. Well, when I get to the opening where the camera is, I hear somebody say something, and then I see somebody stand up like 15 yards max to my right.
Like in a tree?
No, on the ground. And I'm walking, you know, and I have my light off. And, you know, like, you're in the woods. The last thing you expect is somebody to say something to you.
Oh, my God, dude. I'm freaked out right now.
And the guy was in a ghillie suit. And so dude, I'm not going to lie, and this sounds ridiculous. For 0.03 seconds, I thought it was Sasquatch. Like, this thing stands up to my right, and I can just see his silhouette, you know? And I jump out of my skin, and I'm like, excuse my language, I'm like, oh, fuck. And he's like, I almost shot you. And like, I was
That's the first thing he says to you?
What I heard when he first said something, I think this is thinking back on it. I think he went, oh, shit. Like, he was about to shoot me, like had his finger on the trigger, was about to shoot me.
Oh my God.
And then he goes, I almost shot you. Like, he stood up and said, I almost shot you, like in a frantic. And I had no idea what he said because I don't know. It was hard to explain. It immediately put me on defense. I didn't expect it to happen. It's dark. I didn't have my light on. I talked to the dude. Was way nicer to him than I even should have been. Like, I didn't even know, like, I couldn't even wrap my head around what I should or shouldn't do at this moment. But I pretty much was just like, I'm never coming back here. See you later. Grabbed my camera and booked across those fields and got the hell out of there. Wow. I should have probably pulled them. I'm cussing on your podcast.
Oh, you're
pulled
good.
him over the fence and called the DNR and held him down. But he looked like Farva from Super Troopers.
Really?
Yeah, dude. It was just, no offense to anybody that hunts with crossbows, but he was like, this dude for sure just bought that new Excalibur double barrel crossbow. He pre-ordered that stuff. That's that guy.
Oh my gosh. Are you sure he didn't match you? Like, you know?
Dude, he might have. Honestly, he might have. And as I'm walking across this field, I'm like, that dude, he was sitting on his property, you know, and he for sure heard me walking through, and he said he saw the sticks on my back and thought it was antlers.
What the hell, dude?
Guaranteed he had the crosshairs on my chest. So I didn't realize until I got to my truck. I was like, I almost got shot. Like, legitimately almost got shot.
That is unbelievable, man. And so this guy owns the property next to you?
Yeah, he said him and his dad had just bought it. It was like a 40-acre square. And literally, that's the last time I've been back to that property. I did not go back. I left trail cameras there and everything.
I don't blame you. Did you ask the guy's name and like, what the fuck, man?
I did, but in like the frantic adrenaline, like just weirdness that I was in, I don't even remember it. I want to say it was Brandon, but I don't know.
Holy cow, dude.
It'd be different if I like saw him and then got to approach him. Like I would have had like, it scared the living hell out of me. You know, I basically turned inside out because can you imagine walking through the woods and having somebody like jump out at you pretty much?
No, oh my God.
Yeah, not a fun time, man. It was it had me feeling pretty weird for a little while after that.
Sorry I brought it back up.
No, it's all good. And you know, I honestly thought about going a few days later with the DNR officer doing the same thing because I guarantee it he would have been in the same spot doing the same shit.
Yeah. Wow. You need to go get your trail cams off there.
Yeah, I got two. They're long gone, man. They're long gone. I'm gonna go back and look, but I'm gonna drive my truck through the whole place, and I'm gonna. If I would have owned the ground, I would have put round bales 3 stacks high along that whole fence line and just blocked him out because I was on my ground. He was shooting onto our ground, you know. Just shit you don't do. But yeah, if I would have owned the ground, and I guess it's that property. What I know now is notorious for poachers because we got guys on quads looking at they didn't take my trail cams or nothing, but I just got pictures of them staring at them, and we thought it was one of the old farm hands. Well, we sent to the guy that gave us permission to hunt there, and he's like, no, we have no idea who that is. So
wow.
Me and the 2 guys that can hunt it, I think we're going to go through and battleground it and just kind of take it back because the potential to kill some giants is there. But I'll be honest, that one thing I'm just kind of like, nah.
Gun shy, man.
It's weird, man. It's a weird situation to be put in the dark with a bow. You know what I mean?
Makes me want to like make sure I turn my light on now. You know, because I usually don't use a light. I know.
Same, you know. If I would have had a pistol and been more prepared to quick draw, I would have shot him.
If you hunt by Curt Geier, you will get shot.
Now you will. Especially if I'm hunting a new piece of ground and I'm doing a hanging hunt with no light. I'm going to be on that quick draw. You know, I might just buy a crossbow myself and walk around the ghillie suit and shoot at the neighbors.
There you go. You can shoot like 100 yards out of the box with those things. So
twice.
Yeah.
With the new double barrel.
Yeah, which is mind-blowing. Like, what the hell? The hell are we doing here?
I feel strongly about that double barrel one, especially after that situation. So it was weird, man. It had me shook up. It really did.
I feel like you've been up thinking about like how to paint this guy a picture, like he looks like Farva, and he's the guy that like, you know, he's the guy that ordered the double barrel crossbow. Like,
oh yeah, I made that up on the fly, but I mean, he's that guy, you know, like
yeah.
I don't know. He's not the type of dude to listen to hunting podcasts, but I hope somebody that knows him sent him the episode where I go into detail on it, and he's like, God, I'm that guy.
He must have been scared too. I mean, don't you think? Like, did he act like it at all?
I think he was just scared that he almost killed somebody.
Right. Yeah. That's what I mean.
You know?
Like, I almost fucked up kind of thing. Like,
if he wouldn't have said anything, I would have never known he was there.
That's crazy.
He looked like a bush, you know? And he was like sitting between like 2 fence posts on the other side of the barbed wire, and like, I mean, he was concealed. I got to give him that. Like, if I would have been a deer, he would have got me. Probably would have hit me in the liver, but
just grass bagged your ass.
like I said, he probably would have shot and missed or hit me in like the leg, like Ace Ventura or something crazy, you know.
Or in the Achilles, just blown Achilles.
I would have ran out in the middle of the field and bedded down, and he would have been frantically trying to reload.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, man, it's scary, man. Like that's how hunting accidents happen. You get guys like that out there with a crossbow. You know, it's like middle October.
Yeah.
You know, you get those fair weather guys that aren't into it, but they want to kill something so bad, and taking sound shots is the term that came up when we started talking about that, shooting at sound.
You know, not to beat a dead horse here, but I'll wrap this up here in a minute. But when I was taking hunter safety when I was like 10 or 11, whenever I took it, I remember, you know, and they could have made this up, but I mean, it definitely stuck with me till to this day. I remember they told a story about a new hunter as a kid. Him and his dad were out hunting, and his dad, you know, put him in a tree, and, you know, he's bow hunting. So his dad was hunting somewhere else, and got to the point where, you know, it's dark and time to get down. And their thing was like, you know, always know what you're shooting at. Like, make sure you identify what you're shooting at. Well, this kid had this, you know, heard some rustling in the, you know, brush, walking to him, pulls back, shoots, you know, it goes down. His dad's got a freaking arrow in his chest. He shot his dad.
No.
Yeah. And like, I don't know if they like just made up a story to like scare the shit out of us. I mean, it scared the shit out of me. You know, it made me think like, okay, you always got to know what you're shooting at. And, and I think it's easy for like guys like you and I, like, to say like, I know what is a deer and what isn't a deer, and if I don't know what it is, I'm not shooting it. Like, it's just, you know, it's never even crossed my mind like, oh, I don't know what that is, but we're going to take a crack at it. You know, it's like...
Yeah, it seems bizarre that would even, like, cross someone's mind, but it's just unfamiliar with the woods and how things move through the woods, and
100%.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, but, I mean, it happens, man. You just get, I don't know, it's just weird. It's unfortunate, but it happens every year, I'm sure, several times.
Yep. Well, I got one thing I want to cover here, and this is kind of like the end all here. So you and I both, you had an unbelievable this year, but you also missed a buck this year, and so did I. I missed a great buck in Michigan here, and I want to talk about how you bounce back from that. Like, what is do you have a routine or what it is? Like, it is a freaking head game, man. Like, when you miss, you know, the buck that I was after, I was like gunning for that buck. Like, he was on the hit list. He was number 1 or 2 on the hit list. And like, I had my one opportunity and I blew it. You know, and you just feel like a dipshit, you know? So like, when it happened to you, how did you, because you shot a buck that night, you missed one that morning and shot one that night. Like, how did you bounce back so quick?
So my deal was the buck I missed, it was weird. Like, something happened with my arrow. He was in standing corn, but I had an opening, and I think I hit a stalk that I didn't see or whatever, and it spun my arrow around. So I technically hit him, but it was very non-fatal, like not concerned about him being wounded or anything like that. But I basically, mentally beat the hell out of myself all day and thought, well, who knows, make a move back in, slip in the other way. I walked through the standing corn quietly and moved my way back in. Maybe he'd bounce back through and ended up killing another deer. But I think I don't regret the deer I shot that night, but I definitely might have given him the pass if I mentally would have been feeling a little more confident. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, yep.
I was a little beat down on my luck and kind of tearing myself up, and I'm like, man, this buck's nice. And I shot him, and I'm like, man, I'm back on the horse. Here we go.
Yep.
And I found that other deer and killed him 5 days later. But no, I just beat myself up over it a little bit, but not like I didn't dwell over it. It was over a few hour period. It's like, well, if I don't go hunting and I sit here and beat myself up, I'm not going to find that deer again.
For sure.
You know? So I guess just stay persistent, man. You can't, that's hunting. You know, you can't expect to win every single time. That's unrealistic. But I think it's also just past experiences and, you know, well, I did get a little shook up too when that deer came in. It was the first good buck I seen for the year and all that. But really, you got to keep moving. You can't let it stop you in your tracks. Cause then what am I going to do? Sit at home?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the perfect answer. Like, you just got to get out there and first of all, I mean, I'm sure you did it. Go back, check your bow, shoot your bow, make sure you're good there.
Oh yeah.
Check your equipment and then, then it's just like, man, I just play it through my head over and over. What happened? Like, what could I do differently? My instance this year, I have a limb that for cover, I have a limb to my left that's, I'm in an oak tree and I don't want to cut too much, but I'm almost positive that my bottom limb hit that limb. And I did a couple things wrong. So the first thing wrong was he was at 46 yards. Not that I don't feel comfortable shooting that. I can
more
shoot
room
that
for air.
Yeah, a lot more room for air. The number one mistake I did do though is I stopped him. I should not have stopped him. I tell myself every year, do not stop the deer. And he was. I shouldn't say he was on high alert, but he was alert. Like, he
alert enough for the distance of the shot. Yeah,
for sure. Like 15 yards or 20 yards. Yeah, I mean, chip shot. He won't. More than likely, probably won't duck your arrow. He did. I mean, I self-filmed it. You could tell he even ducked my arrow a little bit too. And I'm like, man. But the progression. There's a long story that kind of goes through it throughout that day, with that deer that I had, and I had to make some decisions. And what stand to go to and where do I think he's going to end up. And I did do everything right until the shot. And so I was pissed at myself that I didn't get him, but I was also like kind of over it quick because I'm like, well, man, look back at what you did. You get, I only say I only get one opportunity a year and you've got to make the best of it. That was my opportunity. I figured, yeah, that sucks, but I'm like, I did everything right up to that time. And I just didn't execute. So it's like, that is all on me. You got to go back to the drawing board now and get over it. Just, my dad would always tell me, get the fuck over it. Go to the next play, go to the next thing. Just get over it. It's done for. It's over.
I like how you said visualize, because I feel like that's a big thing. Like, I'm always thinking about a shot, or if like with that miss happens, I'm like visualizing it over and over and over again. But I'm sitting in my stand. I'm trying to run every scenario through my head. What if one comes this way? What if one does this? What if one does this? And I feel like, it's not always guaranteed that it's going to keep you calmer, more prepared. But if you think through situations before they happen, you're going to be a little more prepared than if you just sat on your Instagram on your phone and didn't think about it,
100%, man. Yeah.
So I'm a big visualize guy. Like, I will lay in bed and think about shot scenarios in different stands I want to go to the following day.
I do the same thing.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt.
No, it doesn't. I thought I was like the only one out there that probably did that. I literally do that. Like, if I'm going to a stand in the morning, I'm like, okay, like, do I need, like, even entry, like, okay, do I need to go in this way? Or I think there's going to be does out there. Like, go this way. It's a never ending thing. I swear to God, my wife is talking to me all the time when I'm doing it, and she's like, okay, yeah, you're going to pick up Peyton from daycare, right? And I'm like, yeah. And then I forget. No, I don't forget to pick my daughter up from daycare, but like, just one of those things. It's like,
yeah, you forget the little details.
Yes. Yeah. I'm a terrible husband when it comes to that. But
yeah, my wife back in the day would give me shit. Like, I used to be in a Jeep, so I'm just a hunting guy now, but like, she's like, Jeeps, hunting, Jeeps, hunting, Jeeps, hunting, podcast, Jeep. Like, that's my brain. But yeah. So now it's just hunting, podcast in my head.
That's where I'm at. Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's part of it, man. But yeah, I visualize everything. It's thinking about it till I fall asleep. I wake up, I'm at work. I'm like, okay, I'm going out in the afternoon. Let's think about it. All right, I'm going to park here. I'm going to change, and I'm going to slip in, and it can't hurt. Maybe it's a little extra, but.
Have you ever had last year I had this incident. I was like, okay, I'm all chips are in on this sit. Like, I'm going to this stand. It's been the first time I got the perfect wind. As I'm looking at the app, I got the perfect wind of like going to the stand. You pull into the drive, or like where you're gonna park, and I'm like, fuck, I do not have the perfect wind. And it's like, wrench in the spokes. Like, God dang it, dude. Like, wind right at. Okay, so I gotta go to C stand, you know, like I'm not going to see, I haven't seen any deer. And then everything like for the past years, I have never seen a deer out of this stand, you know, and then a shooter walks you and you're like, oh, sure.
Meant to be, yeah. When that happens, typically if I'm like all chips in on a spot or a game plan for the afternoon or for the day, and I get there and it's like doing something else, I'm kind of a baby about it. I'm a baby about it until I'm like, all right, put a shit together. Let's figure something else out, you know? Like, I visualized it so heavily, like we're talking about, that when it gets there, then I have to re-visualize what I'm doing now. So the mental fuckery that goes on is tough.
Well, and I feel like I'm always in a rush. Like I'm always like trying to grab my goal. Like I'm going, you know, I'm like, oh, like I'm always tense, you know, through the fall.
You and I seem pretty similar about how we think about things, because I'm the same way.
And it's like, man, you know, I plan this out. I'm a planned oriented guy, and it's like, and I'm a goal oriented guy. So it's like, you know, I want to do this on Thursday. Like I'm going here, hunting here. And then if anything of that gets like bumped and I get my, you know, my expectations high, if anything goes wrong, it's like immediate 100 to 0. Like, fuck, you know, like you said, I'm a baby, but I'm a little bitch about it sometimes.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, man. Exactly. 100%. Oh, well, that's what makes us work and, you know, apparently it's work, get done what we got to get done, and we figure it out one way or another.
Yep, for sure. Well, hey, I'm going to let you go here. I mean, we did an awesome podcast. I just like these conversations, a little different from the day-to-day that I do on, you know, the success stories and other things, and I just want to bullshit with you. But before we do wrap it up, June 12th, you guys got the Shewt going on, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we have our annual bow shoot. So
do you want to like promote that a little bit, throw it out there?
Yeah, it's a Galesburg Archery Club. If you know where Galesburg, Illinois is, it's in Ryo, Illinois, which is right outside of Galesburg. 30 target outdoor 3D course. It's not like some crazy shooting down mountains type of 3D course, but it's just a fun 3D course. We mix it up as best as we can for being in Illinois with just different scenarios and shots. But all age is welcome. It's not a competition. You can keep score if you want. And then we got prizes and gear giveaways. We should give away a hunt, but prizes. And then afterwards, we have an after party at a local tavern, which is kind of cool. So we're trying to just support local everything in our area. So come on out, have some fun.
Sure. Is there places, do a lot of people stay?
Yeah, Galesburg, Illinois. So workingclassbowhunter.com/Shewt 2021, and Shewt spelled SHEWT because we're idiots.
Yep.
So yeah, right there, Galesburg, Illinois. I have like an Expedia link to all the close hotels. I think it's 15 to 20 minutes to in town Galesburg. So not far at all. Perfect. But it's a good time, man. So come out, relax, shoot your bow, and conversate about hunting with like-minded people. So
good deal, man. Well, again, appreciate you coming on and doing this. We'll have to do it again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. We'll get you on the podcast on our side of the things here soon.
Yeah, whenever you guys want to learn nothing about deer hunting or anything like that, just, you know, bring me on.
Well, we got to get you down in studio, and we'll drink some beer and do a long haul episode, as I like to call them, like a 3-hour just deep dive.
We should. I was trying, because you came out with the Shewt today, or I think it was today that I saw the stuff, and I'm like, well, how far is that from? You're 6.5 hours from me, so it's not too bad.
Not terrible. No. Not terrible, no.
So, well, good deal, man. Thank you very much. I'm going to let you go, so appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
All right, there you have it. Another great episode. Curt Geier, like I said in the beginning, I cannot thank this man enough. He's been a great human to me. He's a straight shooter. Love talking to him and just cutting it up, BSing, man. I hope to God that I can get to Illinois this year on June 12th, and hopefully everybody out there listening would like to go to their shoot as well on June 12th, Galesburg, Illinois. Go to their website, Working Class Bowhunter. Look for the Shewt tab. You can go in there and look at all the everything and where the shoot is at, and you know how to get a place to stay. He said there's hotels and everything in Galesburg, and they have a 3D target shoot, and it's just a good time. I've heard. I wanted to go last year, didn't get a chance to do it, but this year I'm really hoping to do that. Hopefully I'll be able to get there, and hopefully you guys can too. So check that out. Thank you again, Curt, for coming on. I'm going to cut everybody loose here. Thank you for listening to the Fall Podcast. And don't forget, go to iTunes, leave a 5-star rating, and leave a review. Just type in a little something there. I really appreciate it. And hopefully this has been a mental vacation for you guys every week, and just kind of unplug and from your daily lives and just listen to me talk nonsense with some like-minded people. So thank you very much. Going to cut you loose here, and we will see you right here next week on the Fall Podcast.